Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Karen and with my co-host Sama. We just want to say how very happy we are that you could join us on this very special Ultimate Health interview. Today we're featuring guest speaker Elizabeth Phinney, whose passion is fitness after 45, and her mission is to inspire people to plan their physical retirement as they plan their fiscal retirement. Elizabeth is a certified personal trainer with the American Council on Exercise. She also holds a specialty certification in fitness nutrition with ACE. She is an affiliate of the American College of Sports Medicine. And in 2013, she co-authored the Expert Success Solution, an Amazon #1 international bestseller. Elizabeth's passion is fitness after 45. And her mission is to inspire people to take control of their own aging through diet and exercise so that they can live an extended quality of life well into their 80s and 90s. Since 2000, she's helped men and women over the age of 45 get stronger, more flexible, and healthier. Her positive, instructive manner motivates her clients so that many slow down, stop, and reverse aging issues that had been plaguing them for years. Her flagship product is BODspur, a meditative strength training technique she created and has taught thousands of times in her classes and one-on-one private training. BODspur has proven to enhance strength, mobility, and flexibility and allows practitioners to often do activities with ease that they had previously given up on. Elizabeth has appeared on multiple radio shows and podcasts, been a guest speaker at a number of conventions and conferences, and has written articles for both local and international publications. Welcome to the Ultimate Health Summit, Elizabeth Phinney.
Thank you, ladies. Very happy to be here.
Well, we're very happy to have you here. So let's get right to it there. Elizabeth, getting fit at any age is very difficult, but getting fit after 45 is really hard. Staying fit after 45 is really, really hard. So we know it involves more than simply learning an exercise routine or hiring a personal trainer. It has to involve commitment to a new way of life for the rest of your life. And really committing to anything for such an extended period of time is really, is very, very difficult. So after more than a decade of successfully working with, I'm sure, thousands of people over the age of 45, Elizabeth, you've learned the secret to success of getting and staying fit for the rest of your life. And you also talk about fitness inspiration transformation. Talk to us what that means.
Well, what I've learned through all these years is that people are not going to change their behavior unless emotion gets involved. And so it really is literally getting to the heart of the matter and what's in their heart and what do they want, where do they want to go, and how long do they plan on living? I mean, that's a question that most people don't even think of. No. Certainly in our parents' generation, they didn't know that they'd be living as long as they are. My mother is 94. And she's like, oh, how did I still get here?
Yeah.
But we know, our generation knows, oh my God, we can live that long. So now we have a lot more ability to take charge of how we age. Mm-hmm. So therefore, but then even saying that, 80s and 90s are 30, 40, sometimes 50 years down the road. So what can you do for that extended period of time, like you're asking? And it really has to come from your heart. You have to find a reason to want to do that. But the reason can change as time goes on. For instance, when I turned 45, my youngest daughter turned 5. And so I thought, oh my God, if she waits to have a child at 40, then I will be 80. And I want to be able to play with that child. So that's what got me started at 45. Oh. And so I was just, having grandkids. So I went to look and I couldn't find anything to exercise with. I used Susan powder. That was, Susan
I've got her
yeah,
stuff.
right?
Yeah.
Crazy lady. Right.
I've got her stuff.
Yes. And so, I liked her because she modified everything. So she had, big, small, fat, old, young, everybody was in her class and everybody could do things to their ability. And I liked that. But when I went to a gym, there was nothing. And so I slowly but surely realized the need for something like that. And I've been entrepreneurial since the mid-'80s. So I've always worked for myself. So I thought, okay, there's got to be something about this. And friends suggested becoming a personal trainer. So I did that and I did my research. And so as I learned the exercise, which is how BodSpear was created as far as the modification of exercises that I have. But it still wasn't enough. People would hire me, job security for people who don't work out on their own because they can't, because they won't, so they come to my classes or they come to me one-on-one because they won't do it on their own. So I finally realized that there needed to be a way to help people get to that point so they would do it on their own. And that's how the whole concept of finding your inspiration. And like I said, my inspiration before was my having grandchildren. My inspiration now is obviously, doing what I do for a living, and setting the example. I mean, let's face it, I have to kind of look the part and I have to play the role. And, but obviously I'm much healthier for it and much happier for it. And I know that when I get to be as old as my mother, who is on a walker, whose eyes are going, who has all these issues that she's dealing with and that I am caretaking for, that's not how I want to live, so I am therefore taking steps. But it's, it isn't something that you can change overnight. It's something that takes time. And so there's I call it a 20-year plan. Okay. If you begin in your 45 to 65, if you start then by the time you're 65 to 85, then you're going to pretty much have it set. And ideally, the sooner you start, obviously, the easier it gets along the way. And once it becomes a lifestyle, and that's literally what it is. I mean, it's gotten so trendy that, lifestyle change. But in reality, that's what you're doing. You're making food choices that are important. You're making exercise choices that are important. You're making bedtimes that are important. You're taking up meditation because that's what's good for you. You're drinking more water. I mean, all these different things that you start to do on a regular basis. But the best part is that as you're doing them, you're feeling better and you're feeling better and you're going, yeah, I kind of like this. I like being able to get out of bed in the morning. Yeah, exactly. I like being, all of a sudden a friend will call me and she goes, I'm going for a bike ride in Newport. Want to come? Absolutely. And I can hop on a bike and go ride 25 miles. Now, mind
25 miles?
Well, yeah. But please let me explain. I am no different than anybody. I am not an athlete, never have been. I've always been able to do sports, but I was always on the JV team. I never made varsity. My only real claim to fame, though, is I was on the Rhode Island State Badminton Championship when I was in middle school. So there you go.
You go.
That is my claim to fame. But other than that, I am no jock. I am no athlete. So anyway, but it's the aha that I had that started me was really the grandkids. And then it was now doing anything I want to do when I want to do it. That's what keeps me going.
Without saying, oh, my knees hurt, my hip hurts.
Right. Exactly. Right. Now, mind you, things still happen.
Sure. Right.
But the repair time, I think that's the thing. It's the repair time is so much quicker. And I literally, because of the way I eat, I was just talking to the tree guy this morning who came out to a property to look at our trees. And I was saying, I just don't get sick anymore. I mean, I haven't had a cold or the flu in, I can easily say 10 years. And he goes, well, why? And I said, I eat raw garlic in my green drink every morning. And I don't get bit by mosquitoes. I don't get tick bites. I mean, all these things are related to my raw garlic. So it's again, that's my choice. I'm not imposing that on anybody, but it's something that I choose to do in order to get the benefits from it. So
how many cloves do you put in there? Just one clove?
Oh, one clove, and you chop it up into small pieces, tiny pieces, and then you let it sit for 10 minutes before you put it in the blender.
Oh,
With,
okay.
and I do vegetables, you know.
Well, all
So
vegetables in there, like a
I have
smoothie?
like 2 cups of vegetables, a half a cup of fruit. And then with protein powder and flaxseed and
the
cinnamon,
rest of it.
yeah, and garlic. Yeah, and every day. And I vary the fruit. You know, I do all my, my vegetables and fruit, and I cook everything on Sundays. And then I have it all pre-measured and in my freezer, so it's much easier. But that's
More time savings too.
well, exactly. It makes it much
And
easier.
you can do that 25-mile bike ride. You don't have to worry about anything.
You're right. Exactly. Exactly.
Now, Elizabeth, we were talking a few minutes before the interview, and you were talking about you're dealing with a lot of power lifters and people that really have exercised, you know, in their 20s and 30s in really good shape. But now you've got them as older, and they're having a lot of difficulties. And you mentioned stretching. So what do we need to know about stretching?
Well, stretching is as important, if not more important, than strengthening when you get older, because it's your flexibility. It's your fascia tissue. Your fascia tissue lies beneath your skin and your muscle. It's that, like when you have a piece of chicken and you take the skin off, there's that thin film. Okay. Well, we have the same thing.
Okay.
And what happens as you get older, your collagen builds up more as you get older, and that has a tendency to get all gnarly. Your muscle tissue will get all gnarly if you don't stretch it up. And the fascia gets tight and dry too, because you have to remember to have, as long as you're hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you keep heavily hydrated, then it's easier. But your flexibility is really very, very key. So what we do with Bod Spear is we will do a strengthening exercise, and then we will stretch that body part. And then we'll do another strengthening exercise, and we'll stretch that body part. So we stretch immediately after the exercise. And which I have found, and certainly my clients are wonderful, because they don't have any pain, number one. They can walk the next day, and they're getting more and more flexible as time goes by. Now, what I've found though is with people who are athletic, or I have worked with a few bodybuilders, or retired bodybuilders, and they have a very difficult time, because when you stop bodybuilding, all that muscle tissue, it doesn't really turn to fat, but it turns to fat. I mean, it's even the weight might stay the same, but they get very, very big, and they get a lot of fat in a lot of different places they wouldn't normally get fat. So so that's tough, and that's a very strict diet regimen and everything else to undo that. But more so, I work with retired people who are athletic, who were athletic, you know, and they played football in college or something. And so I've made up this little term I mentioned called jock knee. And what jock knee is when you cannot straighten your knees.
Oh, okay.
And if you sit down against a wall on the floor and put your buttocks as far back against the wall as you can and sit up straight and stick your legs straight out.
Mm-hmm.
And if your knees do not touch the floor, which they should, then in my term, you have jock knee. Mm-hmm. And so there are things you can do to straighten that out, because when you think about it, you know, envision someone standing up and they've got their knees are just slightly bent. Now, when you're 45 or 55, it's not going to make that much difference. But as you get 65, 75, 85, those knees are just going to keep on bending. And so that's what before we were talking about offsetting or reversing signs of aging. This is a perfect example. There are things you can do to stop that so that your knees stay straighter. And then when your knees stay straighter, your whole body will not begin to compress.
Okay.
See, because that's what your knees
so that's one of the exercises, right? So
yep, that's
okay.
something.
And what other things? Yeah, what other things should we be doing?
Well, something that's critical for everybody is posture. Which goes along with the bent knees, right?
Okay.
So
yeah.
As we get older, our muscles just kind of, unless we're keeping them strengthened, your muscle tissue is atrophying at 0.5 pound a year starting at age 30. So by the time you're 60, you've literally lost 15 pounds of muscle mass without doing anything. So by exercising and strength training, right, when you start to do all your strength training, you can maintain that muscle mass. So there's no deterioration and there's no atrophy. So what happens when that happens, if you're not strengthening, your muscle tissue will begin to sag, and it will just begin to not be doing anything. So your posture is going to start to go. So you see a lot of people, they become more and more round-shouldered.
Yes.
And a wonderful thing to do to check your posture is go back against that wall that you sat in front of before. Now you're going to put your heels against it. Your feet are going to be hip-width apart and parallel, and then stand up straight and bring your shoulders all the way back to the wall. And the important part here, this is the most important part, is that your chin is going to be level. And then from that position, and with the shoulders back, you're going to stand up straight for about 10 seconds, 15 seconds to have your whole body settle into where you are. Then take one step forward and not move anything but the leg that has to go forward, right? So you take one step forward and there you are. And then now you're in perfect posture, what I call perfect posture, or the way you should be. Now, if you find that that ain't working for you and that you can't get your shoulders back against the wall, or that feels really awkward, do it every day. And do it for more than 10 seconds. Do it for 20, 30, 40, 60 seconds a day, is to stand up against that wall and try to get that into your brain. Because remember, you have muscle memory. The muscle tissue has memory. Your brain has memory. So if you continue to do that every day, 2 or 3 times a day, then your body will be much more used to being in that position. Because we slouch over our desks. I mean, I'm, just like everybody else over my computer. So you have to remind your body to get back there. And one thing to do, if like you really can't get your shoulders back, get a broomstick or a golf club and stick it inside your elbows behind your back and put it along your back, okay? And so that forces the tissue back.
Okay.
And then that's something that can help pull you back. But, there are other things, but that's the easiest thing for our intents and purposes here. That can help, get your posture going.
So obviously, though, that's for somebody that is just starting off with the regimen and maybe doesn't have, for example, my mom has osteoporosis. She's, her back is really curved.
Yeah.
She can't even sit straight because it hurts. So what would you suggest for someone like that?
For someone like that, then I would suggest her, because what's happened with her is that because of the rounding in the back, her entire torso, front of the torso is concave.
Yes.
So the best thing she can do is to lie on her back with her arms out.
Okay.
Okay, and lie back. And what she needs to stretch this.
Yeah.
The back is like an overstretched rubber band. At this point, it's tough. There are 2 things. I'm going to tell you something else that she can do that will help a little bit, but it's kind of past the point, I'm afraid. But this will help open her up here. So just lie in a bed. And if this is too easy, have her slide her arms up. When you do the CD, my Bod Sphere warm-up CD, have this as part of it.
Okay.
Is to lie on and bring the arms up in a V off the shoulder. And that helps to open this area up. The other thing she can do and practice is to sit up straight as she can in a chair with your arms bent and your elbows by your side, and simply squeeze the shoulder blades together and then let go. And what will happen is a lot of people cannot find their shoulder blades when they do this. And so it's again, mind, body. You have to think about your shoulder blades and just squeeze them together and release, and do that several times, and that will help trigger and talk to the trapezius muscles and the upper back muscles that help to keep your shoulder blades pulled back. So that'll help with those.
Good information, Elizabeth. Yeah. So what do you think is the number 1 ingredient to choosing a healthy and fit lifestyle? What's the number 1 ingredient? Having the will?
Well, as opposed to will, I would say, but along those lines, it's nothing physical. It's nothing physical. It really is. It's about wanting to. Yeah. It's really about wanting to. It's about recognizing how important you are to yourself. First, number 1 is self-love. And number 2 is everyone else's love for you and your love for them. And that when you get to be in your 80s and 90s, the last thing in the world you want to do is to impose upon your children to take care of you. I have a very nasty thing that I do in one of my workshops. And what it is for you to sit down and write a letter to your children. And if you choose not to do anything, this is at the end of the workshop, right? So everybody's all psyched and they're going to go home and they're going to do this and do that. And I said, well, let's just write a letter to your kids in case you don't. And basically it's, I have 2 children, dear Claudia and Blair. I'm just letting you know that I am consciously making the decision not to change my diet and not to exercise. It is now, this is the date, and I want you to know that in about 20 years from now, you're going to need to take about 10 years out of your life to take care of me. Because that's really what's going to happen. But this is my decision, and I just wanted to give you a heads up. Love you, bye-bye. Right. So start getting ready now, because I'm moving in 20 years. But it's the wake-up call, because that's what's going to happen. Now it's happening now. Like I'm living with my mom. I'm not going anywhere, and won't. Yeah. So it's really important that we recognize that taking the responsibility of our own well-being and our own health is not only our responsibility, it is all ours, but the imposition that it is on everybody else that loves us, and how much better we can make their lives if we in fact do the right things.
But the big thing, Elizabeth, is too, there's a difference between activity and exercise. You talk to some people, I go to bridge, I meet my friend for show, we walk for supper, and we relax outside, and then we're going to visit the other neighbors or something. But do, but it's not with the body, right? It's that social connection, which is good, right? But it's that other part. So talk to us about that.
I will, because that's a real thing for me, as far as something that's important for people to understand. When you're doing activities like gardening, 2 big activities that are very calorie consuming and very physically active are cleaning your house and gardening. Yeah. Gardening actually is like the number 1 activity as far as movement is concerned. The thing is that the goal, or taking the dog on a walk, that's another one. Taking the dog for a walk, right? Well, when you take the dog for a walk, you are walking the dog. It is not your walk and the dog's coming with you. It is the dog's walk.
Right, when you're going to stop at every tree and every bush.
There you go.
While they lift your legs.
Getting that exercise. It's got to lift and go and lift and go, right?
Are you doing that, Selma? No, not doing that.
Well, and some people say, well, the dog is off leash. And it's like, okay, well, that's better. That's better. But when you're gardening, for instance, the goal is the garden. The goal is not you. I actually have written a little booklet called Stretches and Positions for Gardening. Oh. And it shows a better, non-injurious way to garden. And also the stretches that you should be doing after your gardening. But gardening is an activity. When you wash the windows, it's an activity. The goal is the windows. It's not your exercise. So I choose to call those activities and not exercise. Exercise is when the goal, and the only goal, is to help the body. And believe me, the body knows the difference. That is one thing I have learned. The body knows the difference. The body knows when you're doing something for your benefit or something else's benefit than for your body's benefit. Sports are in this too. I mean, I throw sports in with the same category, because with sports, you're using your body in a competitive way because you want to win. Typically, assuming that's what you're doing, you're competing. And so if you're doing that, then again, you're taking from the body. It's a taking from the body. You're not giving anything back from to the body at that point. But when you exercise, like with bod sphere, you are giving to the body. The only reason you would come to my class is to exercise. The only reason you would go to a Zumba class is to exercise. It's for the body. 100% of the reason to do it is for the body. And so it's a give back. It's a gift. It's really a gift to the body. Because as soon as you get out of bed in the morning and you put your feet on the floor, you are taking from your body all day long. We're awake 16 hours a day. And what my suggestion and recommendation is to take 1 hour out of those 16, which is 6% of your day, and give back to your body in some form of exercise. Incorporate meditation if you'd like, to sit down quiet for 15 or 20 minutes so that you only physically use the body for 40 minutes. And I suggest do it all at once if you can. If not, then take the exercise, the physical portion, and separate it out from the meditative portion. But it's only going to serve you better. And the body recognizes, oh, it's my turn. It's my time. You know, and
My turn
especially
to
when you're,
shine, right?
you know, when you're regular with it, you know, when you keep up your schedule and you're out. I'm in my studio at 6:15 every morning. That's just what I do. And if I don't do it, my body by 6:30 is going, hey, where are you? You know, what's
Take
going
me out.
Right. So, but that's really, it's, you got to be careful with thinking that your activities are exercise, because they really aren't. And again, this is my definition. This is what I have come up to.
Right.
But you were mentioning like an hour, and some people say, oh my God, I don't have time for an hour. Like an hour is, oh, I got this and this to do. I mean, so that's the mindset we have to also get rid of, isn't it?
It really is. It is
for
a
the
mindset.
body, you know, that
Well,
hour, but yeah.
An hour is a lot of time. Well, and, you know, in sleep, same thing with sleep. You really should be getting 8 hours of sleep a night. We are too old not to. You know, the sleep time is your repair time. That's when everything comes together in your body to fix itself overnight. Cells die, cells are regenerated. And so that's why you need the sleep. And so when you cut it at 5.5 or 6 hours, you know, it's not fair to the body, because the body cannot do its job. So you do that night after night after night. Well, after months and years of doing that, there's a deprivation that the body just cannot restore itself to. Mm-hmm. So consequently, you're more susceptible to illness, you know, and or even inflexibility and all these other things that get repaired at night. You're more susceptible to having them go wrong as you get older. So sleep is very important. So you need to take the 8 hours for sleep and an hour. So there's 9 hours. Okay, so that leaves you, well, like I was saying, you know, 15 hours left. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of time in a day. Mm-hmm. And all you've done for that 9 hours is to give back to yourself. You're thanking your body for everything that it does for you. You're recognizing how important it is to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. And so the body's going, okay, I'm good. Throw it at me. I can do anything now, you know, and it thanks you.
And what about the theory? There's a lot of theory out there that, you know, if you just do exercise 3 times a week, that you're good, that you need that time in between to recover. What's your theory on that?
Well, the recovery time is typically after strength training. So when you exercise your muscle tissue for the intention of them getting stronger, then yes, you want 48 hours between exercise periods. Okay. Like bod spear would be 2 days a week. And that's fine. You strength train 2 days a week. That's really all you need. You want your muscle tissues to go past their normalcy those 2 days. And then another day you can do yoga. Another day you could do Pilates. 2 days a week you could do cardio, do some heavy duty walking. So, but it still is that hour a day is the gift that you give back.
The hour.
Yeah, it's the hour a day. It's the gift that you give back regardless of what you do. You don't need, the body doesn't really need recuperation time in what you're suggesting, except with the strength training. That's the thing.
Right. My daughter does yoga and Zumba, but she also has scoliosis. So after both of those activities, she's in huge pain. And I mean, we have modified, the trainers have modified her yoga, but even today she said, Mom, I can't even move after the yoga class. So
wow.
What would you say about that?
Well, that's really beyond my scope of practice.
Because scoliosis, they say, can be corrected through yoga.
Yeah.
A long
then, yeah, it's tough. And you might want to, I don't know if you have these kinds of doctors up there, but it's called a physiatrist. Have you heard of a physiatrist before?
No.
It's Physiatrist. Does that sound right? Physiatrist. Siatrist. A physiatrist is a medical doctor who specializes in muscles and joints.
Oh.
An orthopedic doctor specializes in bones and joints.
Oh, okay.
So the physiatrist is a rehabilitative doctor. So you might want to do some research to see if you can find a physiatrist and have them take a look. And also there are, I'm trying to think, I'm not sure, if neuromuscular massage, but I can put my thinking cap on, I can email you, but that would be.
Selma, have you ever heard of that term in Canada?
No, I haven't.
Believe me, it's not known down here either. And there aren't many. When I first had heard of one, a client told me about it.
Oh.
And she was going to one, there was one in the state of Rhode Island.
Okay.
Now there are more.
Okay.
But yeah, it's now that's my referral is to a physiatrist because they're non-surgical.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are much more inclined to, and I shouldn't make that broad statement because I have a wonderful orthopedic doctor too. But they just look at things a little differently than orthopedic doctors do. So because they are muscle and joint, that's their focus, not bones. And orthopedic guys, focus on bones too. So that's why I would take them there.
Look at, we're learning so much.
Oh, yay.
And I want to know more about this bot spur. Okay, so just take us back. If you have somebody saying, Elizabeth, I really like that. I'm coming in for, my first class or something like that. What are some of the things that they could be doing?
There it is. There's the warm-up CD.
Oh, okay. All right. But just tell us more and more because you got meditations, you got other things. So what's this all incorporate? Your breathing and everything else. So, give us a little bit of a background. What happens here?
Okay. Well, first what happened was I got certified in 2000. And because I was entrepreneurial my whole career pretty much, I knew that I didn't want to just exercise the way everybody else exercises.
Right.
So I started to get different exercises and modify them for the older body. And so as I was doing that and as time went on, and I thought, well, there's a different way to do this. In general, in the fitness industry, when you're working with weights, you're going to exhale during your exertion. Okay, that's standard. Exhale during your exertion and inhale during your release. That's just standard. Well, what I came up with was to reverse that and first breathe and then exert during your exhale and release during your inhale. And what that does is that has you breathing deeper, and we Americans, I don't know about you Canadians, but we Americans are the shallowest breathers on the planet. So this allows you to use a lot more of your lungs. So it's deeper breaths and therefore longer movements. And when you have a slower movement. So when you have a slower movement when you're working with weights, then everything can slow down. And when everything slows down, then you need lighter weights. Okay? And with lighter weights, it saves the joints. Right? So it all works out together. And so I thought, okay, that was oh my God, I have something here, right? And so then I thought, what am I going to call it, right? So I'll never forget, I was walking my dog, and for him, not for me, and we went down to the end of the road, and we're coming back up the hill, and I went, oh my God, bod spear, short for body spirit.
Sure.
Because body, obviously, and spirit for your breath. Yeah. And so that's how I came up with bod spear. And so that was back in 2001. I mean, it's registered with patent and trademarks. I mean, it's a real thing. So what I have done is I've accumulated 240 different exercises total. And so there are 20 bod spear classes, and every class is 12 different exercises. And we do 4 leg exercises every single class, and then we do stretches for the legs. First, we start with a bod spear warm-up. That's on the CD, but we have a short version just for 10 minutes. And in the bod spear warm-up, we stretch and contract virtually every muscle in the body. And that's how we warm up. Because I didn't want to do, typically in a strength training class, you're going to have that aerobic, get the body moving, get the heart pumping. And that's not the atmosphere. We play yoga music in my studio. I mean, everything is it's nice and quiet and meditative. So then we do so we're breathing, and we do leg stretches, and then we'll do the back, we'll do, the shoulders, we'll do different body parts. We always have a core exercise for abdominals. And then we throw in the neck or the hands or the ankles and the toes or the shins or the calves. So we have all these other body parts that get touched on as well. So there are 20 classes, 12 exercises in a class. And so that expands over, 10 weeks when you come twice a week. So within that period of time, you never repeat the same exercise twice. And people like that because it doesn't.
They're not bored.
doesn't get boring. And especially with strength training is so boring. I mean, I don't know. It's boring. That's all there is to it. I can't make it more fun than my sparkling personality and change it to you know, I mean, it's just like, it's just boring. But I have one man who's been coming to me for, I said 13 years and he said, no, it's been 14 years.
Okay.
That he's been coming to me twice a week. And I have one-on-one clients. One's been with me 17 years, another one 13 years.
Wow.
So yeah, so if they're not bored, you know. So it's really, that's why BodSphere is great. And the wonderful thing is that in the fall, I am finally able to bring BodSphere to the masses, and I'm starting a membership site.
Okay.
And so this way, every month a new video will start with 2 videos.
Okay.
And then every month a new video will come up. And so that way, over 19 months, then you'll have all 20 videos. And it's, and then there's a whole bunch of other stuff too, but that way, then at least I can get it out there. It's a different way to exercise.
Right.
I know it can help people.
Right.
And it's really something that is a gift that I'm able to share, and it's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting.
And see, my before you had mentioned that, my question was, well, do you have like coaches, like BodSphere coaches around, you know, the States?
Yeah.
And I thought, but you know, that's, yeah, you've got it right there.
Well, the membership site, yeah. And so then through the membership site, that will create interest because a lot of people want to physically be in a class, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
So as time goes on, you bet, Karen, it's certainly in my plan is to train other personal trainers. It has to be a personal trainer now, which is different than a group instructor that you find at gym. A personal trainer, because the form of the exercises is so critical that you really, really have to have perfect form in order to do it. So somebody has to be eagle-eye watching.
Right.
So, yeah, so that's what
Elizabeth, can you give us a bit of a demonstration? Let's do the shoulder. Can you give us a little kind of warm-up? You know.
Warm-up?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, something you can do is just stand up. I can't stand it. You do shoulder rolls.
Okay.
Back. And then you
go
forward, right? But if you do it with weights in your arms, right, it helps to work your upper back and your neck. Okay? You can do it both together, back and then forward. You can raise your arms out to the side, right?
Wow.
Yeah, you can raise your arms forward.
Yeah.
Or your arms behind you. I mean, 240. That's how many you get. And neck. Okay, you can see my neck. So this is easier, okay? So when you sit up straight, and you want to do this in front of a mirror, and this will help stretch the sides of your neck, and just tilt your head like this. I'm looking at myself in the camera here. And then you come back up. I'm going to do it fast. You want to do this really slow, and then you go this way, and then you come back up. And then when you go this way one more time, then you bring your hand up and have a gentle pull. Feel all here on the side of your neck. But then when you come out of it, you got to be careful. You got to bring your hand down and then come out of it. And then you do the other thing, same thing on the other side, and you come out of it. And make sure when you finish, then you turn your face as far as you can to the right and to the left, just to kind of realign everything back again. That's the thing with strength training that the people need to understand, is when you have weights in your hands, and when you're literally contracting the muscle tissue. And so when you do that over several quite a few, we do typically 15 repetitions, again, because people have lighter weights, 15 repetitions, and you're gnarling up the muscle tissue. And that to me is why, so if you gnarl this up 15 times, when you finish, you want to stretch everything out and have everything realigned so they can go back to where it started from. And that's why, to me, the stretching is so important. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many of my clients, they just don't hurt afterwards. They don't get hurt while they're doing it. Now, a couple of things also with weights. You know, in the fitness industry, oftentimes you will hear that you want to go to fatigue. The only way you can build muscle is to go to fatigue. In my situation, I have not found that to be the case. I have clients come to me. One woman started, and 3 months later, she started in October. She came back in January, and she was ecstatic. She said, "This is the first time in my life I have ever gone skiing and not hurt." And that was after only 3 months of doing the leg exercises with BodSphere. So that was very exciting to me, because I mean, that's why I do this, you know, so that people can recognize the capacity they have when they simply pay attention and do their diligence. Their body's going to give back to them with the things that they want to do, right? I mean, to me, it's very logical, but it's, you know, it can be difficult for people to get to, you know.
Well, and I think, you know what, I think because there's no pain for people that go through your program, they're going to be more apt to come back. When you go to one of these other studios or whatever, and you're hurting because you've got to really burn, yeah, the chances of going back are, I don't think so. You know,
well, it's hard.
I don't want to hurt.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's what, and or they do get injured. I mean, one of the, you know, when you look at the top 10 reasons why people don't exercise or stop exercising, certainly right up there is injury.
Right. Right.
And it's hard. It's hard. It doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah.
It really doesn't have to be hard. It can be strenuous. And that's what, of course, I shouldn't say that because part of my literature, I say it's non-strenuous. So it isn't really strenuous, but it's, you want to feel, you know what it is, and the terminology I use is you take your muscles past their normalcy. Right. I don't even know if normalcy is a word, but that's really what you're doing. You're pushing your muscles more than they're normally pushed. Yeah. And by doing that, that's helping you.
Yeah. 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 I mean, there's so many sayings that no pain, no gain, all these things. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, come on.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we're too old for that. I just don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. I really like what you say here. There's not a repetition. You know, you go to the gym and the same exercises, the same machines, you're doing the same thing, and the next day, and you know, and your brain again just gets tired of that. Okay, your brain going like, okay, what's for the next day, or what are we going to do here? You know, it's something different. It's that anticipation, and I think that's so important.
And also, what I've found is that when you do the bod spear technique, because of the breathing, and you focus on the breathing. So it becomes meditative. It really does. And by doing that and really focusing, your body, it's like a twofer for your body, is your body's like, whoa, she is really into this. Okay, I am totally here. I am totally present. I am doing everything that she asked me to do. So that's what the whole body spirit, it's a synergy between the body and the breath, and it's meditative in format. So it's like giving you a double dose of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Oxygen's good. Oxygen's good.
Very helpful. Very helpful. Very good for the brain. Yeah. Actually, speaking of the brain, they found now that, you know, people, they do all these mental exercises, and, you know, crossword puzzles are certainly excellent, and Sudoku and all these other things that you do with your brain. The best thing for your brain is physical exercise.
I've read that.
Yeah, because of the blood flow and getting oxygen up to the brain. And in the latest scientific proof, they have found that there are actually there's brain tissue, not only in your heart, but in your gut. Yep.
We heard that yesterday, and this doctor yesterday said, well, think about it. I think the intestines kind of look like the brain. Like they're kind of like.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, when you think about it, they certainly do kind of look the same.
Yeah, well, and the function, when you think about everything that goes through the intestines, you know, 70% of your immune system is in your intestines. And so, you know, once again, going back to when we're talking about what you're eating. Yeah. You know, it's what you put in your mouth that's going to go through it. Yeah. And if your intestines have to act like a toxic waste disposal dump, it gets very difficult for the body to know what to do with that stuff. You know? So it's much harder.
So quickly, there's 7 key components people need to include in their daily healthy life.
I'm sorry, did you say 7 to do?
What are the 7 key components that people should really consider to be healthy daily?
Oh, pick me. I know this. Pick me.
Okay, Salma, go.
Okay, Salma, go. Well, I just so happen to have an acronym for that.
Oh.
Okay. And that's called I am here.
Okay.
And I am here stands for, the I stands for your immune system. The A stands for your aha, or your point of inspiration. That is the key that we started the conversation with. That's really the key to the whole thing, is finding your inspiration. The M is meditation, because we all have so much stress in our life. It is really critical for your body and your brain to just sit in quiet for 20 minutes. Doesn't mean you have to empty your brain. You just need to sit quietly and look out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the H is for hydration, because it's critical that you have a stasis amount of water in your body. I read at the very beginning of all this for me, I read an article where I think it was a doctor in London said, if 80% of the population has lower back pain, right? And if 100% of those people drank more water, 80% of them would not have lower back pain.
Yeah.
You know, and it's because when you think about it, you know, your body is a machine, okay? And so when it has good hydration, it functions, it's flexible, it can do everything it needs to do. When it doesn't have enough water, first it's going to take it from your skin, because your skin is your largest organ. And then you have dry skin that you can cover with lotion, or I use organic coconut oil. But after that, it's going to go to your muscle tissue, because you do not need your muscle tissue to survive. And remember, we're surviving here. This is what this machine does. It's a survival machine. And so the muscle tissue is disposable, so it takes the water out of that. And so by doing that, all of a sudden, you know, get an old flank steak, you know, and look at what a flank steak looks like when you've left it out on the counter for 24 hours. It's going to be dry and just awful. And that's what happens to your muscle tissue when you don't have enough water. So hydration is really key. And you know, it runs the gambit. Everybody is different. There is no set amount. I put my water bottles out every day. I drink a half a gallon of water a day. That suits me.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily recommend that for everybody. And yes, you do have to go to the bathroom more frequently. That's all there is to it. So get over it. I know every single bathroom within a 50-mile radius. Believe me.
And what about a type of water, Elizabeth? Is there a type of water? Do you want something more alkaline, or?
I eat, because of my diet, I deal with the whole alkaline thing anyway, because I don't eat acidic foods in general.
Okay.
So because I don't eat meat, I'm a vegan.
Oh, okay.
So I don't eat meat. And so therefore I don't eat dairy. Okay. And those are the most highly acidic foods. So I don't really have to worry about the alkaline thing. Okay. If, a registered dietitian would be able to rule in on that based on whatever kind of diet that you're on. But we have well water where I live, and I just get it out of the faucet.
Ooh,
you know,
that's a good one.
I don't, you know, I mean, if I'm on the road and I travel, wherever I go, I, you know, go to the nearest store and buy my gallons of water and just refill my bottles. That's the cheapest way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then so after hydration, so that's the H, and then there's E, which is exercise, right? An hour a day. And R is for rest, which is the sleep that we talked about. And then E is for eating. And so that's I am here, H-E-R-E. And the reason for the acronym, behind the acronym, I'm not sure if H-E-R-E came first, and the I am, and then I did a meditation with I am here, and that's when the I am came up. But I am here is because it's important, especially as you're going forward with your life and you're taking on these new habits and new ways of living and new choices. Recognize and respect where you are now, and I am here now, and I am grateful for physically being here now and still being here, and now I am moving forward from this point, so into stepping into a different lifestyle. And it doesn't mean I'm not going to slip backwards, you know, because I'm human. But the more often steps forward I take, the fewer I take back. And that's why before I was talking about a 20-year plan. And because I started at 45, I'm 64 now. I've got 6 more months till my birthday, and I'm still doing a couple more things, you know, that I'm checking off the list just to make sure. So I'm the biggest one for me, because of the way it was, is to giving up my wine. And I stopped drinking 5 months ago. So again, I have to say again, because I have tried this before, it didn't work. It's working now, and it will work forever. I finally have conquered this one. And then the other one is sugar, of course, because we are all sugar addicts, even though we choose not to. So I don't eat sugar anymore. I do eat chocolate.
Yeah,
and I have 85, well, the 85% chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Boy, when you first start eating that, that's hard to eat. But
oh, no, I love it. But
yeah,
then I
I
have
like
a European background, so I mean, that's kind of what we
that would do it, yeah.
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 So.
Well, you've explained living life well, you know. I am here. I was going to ask you the question, but obviously, you know, that's the ticket for you.
Oh, good.
I like it.
Let's just talk a little bit about your special offer, Elizabeth. You put together a great special offer called Discovering Your Aha. Tell us a little bit more about that, please.
Well, it's really, I have found that, like we said before, is that people really need to get to doing this for a reason and to get emotional about it. And that's what's going to stick them to it. And so I created a very realistic workshop for individuals as well as groups to take people into the future, pretty much, and to really think about their life 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, and to really consider where they're going to live, what they're going to do, who's going to be there, how they're going to eat, everything about their lives. And I take them through that conversation. And it's one, and I was talking to some of the women that have done the program, and this is my FIT workshop, FIT, Fitness Inspiration Transformation Workshop, that I do occasionally throughout the year. And I do this exercise in the workshop. And I have yet to find anybody who likes doing it.
Right. Because you're talking about your mortality and you're getting older and all those things.
Who's going to be left, in 20 years from your own family? And,
Yep. And so it's really, it's a very sensitive thing, but the reality is they were so grateful for having done it on the other side of it when they got through the and they really sat down and they really focused and they answered the questions and they really meditated about it and got into it. When they got to the other side of that exercise, they were just, talk about ahas. I mean, they were flying all over the room. And that's what happens, you see, is that because then the reality is that now you're getting to fantasy reality, but it's potential reality for sure. And so when you get people to go there, and people typically will not do it unless they're forced to do it. So that's why this is such a perfect opportunity for them to take advantage of knowing this stuff that they should do, they want to do, and they just can't get there. So let's start and let's do this. And this is the best way to get started. So at least then you know why.
Yeah.
And when you get into your why, that's when things can really begin to happen.
Wow. And so this is a private 2-hour consultation with you?
And it's broken up. Yeah. The first conversation is like a half an hour, 45 minutes. That's when we talk about what's going to happen. I learn a little bit about them to help them.
Yeah.
And then we talk about what's going to happen. And then I let them go with the questionnaire. And then they work on it. And then we have a follow-up conversation to that. Then there's a second questionnaire that they go through and do on their own. And then there's a third wrap-up. So each conversation is a half an hour, 45 minutes.
Okay.
So it's a total of about 2 hours.
Right.
Oh, that's fabulous.
But it might go longer. I'm not punching the time clock,
So folks, for those of you that are inspired to go further with Elizabeth, I mean, what an inspiration you are. We're going to have a special offer button, a view offer button, or some sort of button under the video. Just go ahead and click that, and it'll take you to Elizabeth's page. Yeah.
Well, what a delight. Very nice. I mean, we need to talk about this, like with aging, and when you talk about it can't be, your retirement, but your retirement also has to include your physical health. And I think that's key. And you've explained some excellent points with us and sharing so much. So we've enjoyed this. What a
wonderful, as have I.
Presence that you have, and Thank you very, very much for being here.
Thank you very much.
You've really been, it's an eye-opener. It's an eye-opener.
Yeah, absolutely.
By my aha. Well, I did say to Stephanie, I said to Stephanie the other day, you know, so-and-so went into the Sunrise Village there. Don't you ever stick me in there. Just,
Yeah, see?
you know?
See?
Yeah. Oh, Mom, I wouldn't do that. I said, you better not.
And see, and I, on the other hand, I have told my daughters I would no more do this to you than fly to the moon.
Yeah.
Because I'm living it now, you see.
Yeah.
Right? And I won't do this to them.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care. I would be happy to go across the street in that home. And because you know what the big thing is too, is if God forbid that ever does happen with anybody, at least you have people to talk to. It's very lonely when you're, you know, and everybody's, so be healthy through it. You know, that's the good news, is that you can control how you get there and how long you can go. And wouldn't it be great to just not wake up one morning and that's it, and then you're done, you know? And that to me is what we're all striving for when you finally get there, is just to be healthy right up to the bitter end, and boom.
Actually, my mother-in-law was blessed with that. She made it at 94, and she just had a bit of a cold. Thought, I'm just going to lay down, and that was that.
Bless her heart. And that's, So it's, but it's wonderful when you can have and pretty much do everything you want to do. One of my goals is, I heard about an 84-year-old woman who climbed to the base camp of Mount Everest. And I thought, ooh, I like that goal.
Is that on your bucket list, Elizabeth?
Yeah, bucket list here.
Yeah, I really, now I don't need to be 84 to do it.
No.
I'm going to do it before 84.
Yeah, you can do it now. Yeah.
Right. But I think it
pictures.
Really, really cool. What's that?
Send us the pictures.
Yeah. I don't need to climb Everest. Oh, no, that's not my thing.
No, the base camp area.
The base camp would be really very nice. I'd like that. And then I can look at Everest from a distance.
Yeah, but although I read a story about this Japanese fellow, I think he was 82 and he climbed, you know, he was the oldest person, I think, who did climb. So kudos to him. Like, oh my goodness.
No kidding. That's a big deal. No, I'm going to do El Camino. I mean, there are quite a few goals that I have once I, you know, can get some things together, and I can leave for an extended period of time, which I'm not quite able to do right now.
You're a real joy, Elizabeth.
Well, thank you very, very much.
And thank you again.
Great.
This weekend, I'll be after the interview.
Okay. You do that.
It's kind of shiny there. But
it is shiny. Yeah.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us, and maybe inspiring some of our viewers to get to their aha quicker. You know? Awesome.
Well, I hope it's never too late, right? Never too late.
That's right.
It's never too late.
Never
starting
too
a physical education. Yeah, never too late.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
To all
Thank
of those
you
that have joined us today on this Ultimate Health Summit interview. Big hugs, and until next time, live life well.
Bye.